One's ready. Go! So you guys are going into special warfare assessment selection. It is an attributes-based selection model. What does that mean?
Guys, are we running right now to get fitter? Or are we practicing running? Practicing.
I can't freaking...
So there's a holistic picture that we're looking for. The instructors are giving you input, and we're expecting an output. And everything is for a reason. If you guys haven't heard my spiel yet, everything that we do, every single exercise, has a connection to the job that you're trying to do. We don't want people at Indoc, Special Warfare Assessment Selection, whatever they're gonna call the new course when it inevitably changes somewhere down the road. I don't care what they call it. What I need is you to show me the raw materials for the things that I wanna build you into. Just like everything else, it's a crawl, walk, run.
I'm running keys just like this. All the way to ATC, you never quit. All the way to ATC, you never quit.
Hey everybody, before we hop into this next episode, and believe me, it is going to be a treat for you guys because we have what we have dubbed, not him, but we have dubbed him as probably the #1 candidate for Air Force Special Warfare. The guy is operating on a whole different level from what we've seen in the past. And the thing is he's probably on Tasty Gains, tastygains.com. No promo code with that. You guys visit them, get yourself some creatine gummies, some pre-workout gummies, some nootropic capsules, or even some hydration powders. Tasty Gains is where it's at when you need to get the actual amount of creatine in your gummies. They're third-party tested twice over now, and both times they've come back with over what they actually advertise for creatine in their gummies. So check them out, tastygains.com. Get yours today. And again, guys, pay attention to this episode because this dude is like, he's doing things that we haven't even considered when we start talking about your development and preparing for the most difficult pipeline in the world. So really take to heart everything that he has to say and just really learn from him. So, all right, enjoy.
I'd love starting this off by saying and making really deep. Welcome back, everybody. We have a great episode for you today. We got the normal team. We had to obscure this person's identity. This is actually the #1 candidate that's going into the Air Force Special Warfare Assessment and Selection Pipeline. We got an email and a DM, and we heard this guy's numbers, and they were absolutely outstanding. He's got a great mindset. We just wanted to get him in front of you guys to make sure that you guys were hearing pretty much exactly what you got to do to be successful. So from the team, #1 candidate, welcome. Thanks for coming on, man. We appreciate it.
No, thank you. Like, honestly, like, I feel like this is a good show because the people that watch you guys that are wanting to come in, like, they need to see what right looks like. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like you guys interview a lot of people that have been, that have been through these courses or been in these jobs for a number of years, but like that doesn't help someone that's going in that isn't ready. So for you guys to show them me, it shows them what they need to, what level they need to try to even remotely get to.
Yeah, and in our emails, you brought up that point, and I just couldn't help but agree. We've brought on a couple Silver Star winners, but, those dudes were a little bit old. They were a little bit, like, out of shape and stuff. We've had people that were the chief. We've had the Chief Master Sergeant of the Air Force on a couple of times, and I couldn't help but internalize that a little bit, is that we haven't shown them the prototype for the candidate. Like, all those people were already old, and they've already gotten through it, but they're not in the fight right now. Like, you're the man in the arena.
And that's kind of where I'm going with that, is like, as someone that's heading there, like, it doesn't help me listening to some guy that went through the program 22 years ago. Like, he doesn't know what's going on now. He doesn't know, especially, if you study the program, it's very different. Like, it's not anywhere near what it was back in the late 90s or early 2000s. So what points or even advice is useful out of somebody that went through this thing when it was in a different state, even, or at a completely different place? And these instructors have been retired for 2 decades. So, like, that doesn't really help anyone trying to get into this.
Yeah, and you bring up the 90s and 2000s, and early 2000s, maybe even 2000 is when Indoc was a thing, right? And so it sounds like you've got some issues with Indoc, and that you prefer this model. Like, what are your what's your beef with Indoc? And
Well, it's I feel after first off, like I just want to establish, like, I'm not 18 years old. I'm 22. So like I spent some time getting mature and growing up and doing my reading instead of just looking at a cool poster in high school and going, I'm doing that right now. So like we'll get out of the way that, like, I do have actual experience, like really diving into this stuff. And it comes down to, it seems like the Air Force was the first one to put science ahead of everything overall. Where, the Indoc that existed 20, 25 years ago, that was just a bunch of guys doing to the trainees what was done to them. And there was no real studies about any of this. Nothing was put down on papers. They didn't know if that made you good at all. It was just, hey, how do we hurt them? Like, I feel like now I'm about to enter something that has been scientifically proven over and over and over again, and something that is also an ascending scale. Understanding that even getting to go to a segregated basic training at this point, where I'm only around other Air Force special operator candidates, which that's all I want to be. I don't want to be around anybody in the Air Force. They don't deserve to be near me. So I'm happy with that specifically. And then to get into the candidate course, like I'm saying, it's an ascending scale. They're shaping you and building you into passing that selection. So honestly, you have no excuse to not pass that selection. You've you have 4 months, 4 straight months of being shown how to get through that selection. If you can't figure something out in 4 months, you probably should join the army.
that's valid. Um, you had talked about kind of the other people in the Air Force, and I guess since I'm bringing up I've always been a proponent of, hey, everybody's part of the mission. Everybody has a piece of the mission that they help support, and that kind of stuff. It's a
I
mentality that
disagree. Yeah, I disagree. I think we're completely separate and elite. I mean, we've always, we've
it's
always
okay to be
disagreed
elite.
on that. Yeah, we've always disagreed on that one. I don't think we need anybody else. I think multi-capable airmen are the way to go. But
I mean, it's not that I'm saying that they're unneeded. I just don't want to be around that. Like, the general Air Force as a whole is weak. It attracts weak people because, if you just kind of look at the overarching, like, like I would say, reputation of the Air Force, is it's for the mass amount of people that want to join the military but don't want to be in the military. So like that's the attitude that doesn't deserve to be around me, because I'm going in here because the Air Force Special Warfare offers the most technical expertise uh, uh, of kind of a job, as opposed to every other service branch in their special operations is just kind of, you're a soldier. This is an actual expertise. So I feel like this is much higher elevated. And I'm after an expertise. I'm not wasting my time on being, an 18 Bravo, just a big dumb brute
Yeah,
that
well, yeah, they're
carries a bat.
bunch of Neanderthals, right? So I mean, like, that's what we know infantry to be. So, hey, and it's no secret out there, right? Everybody, like, in our communities, we all know that, So it's like, it is what it is. So you said you're 22. You've got some maturity under your belt, and like, what kind of prep have you been doing in terms of? Obviously, you had to take the ASVAB and stuff like that. I got to imagine that you did pretty well on that, right?
Yeah. I maxed it out. So I mean, they obviously were really pushing me to become an intel officer. They wanted something to do with cyber. The recruiter was really up my ass for a long time about being an officer, but I want nothing to do with that. So I kept telling him to pack it in, and that if he didn't get me the contract, then I would just drive to the other county and go to that recruiter. And apparently they were like in a tiff, so that pissed him off, and he gave me what I wanted.
Yeah, I mean that's really the way to do it. And going back a little even further, when did you realize that you were just like built different than the regular people going into the Air Force?
Well, I mean, that was more so. In like 8th grade, I tried out for our football team, and I was better than everybody there, but I turned them down when they told me I made the team because I didn't feel like their program was valuable at the time. Like the coaches one of the coaches was just kind of a drunk. We know him in the town and stuff like that. So it's just like I wanted to be there to show that they needed me, and then I wanted to show them that I wasn't interested in things that are lackluster. So I would say it started around 8th grade.
Yeah, that pursuit of excellence, absolutely. And so when you're moving into this, you take the ASVAB. You already know that you're different than a lot of these other people. You're feeling that calling. What were those first steps on the physical side to really start preparing yourself for the rigors of this new and exciting pipeline that's actually going to test you?
Well, I mean, even before the physical stuff is when I spent a good amount of like 3 solid weeks researching every special operations kind of opportunity, to include like, I was looking at paths on how to get to TFO, the fastest, because, they're the only people still that has assassination on their actual mission set. And, that's the kind of outfit I want to be a part of because that's where I think I belong. So that could be a long time goal, but I've been looking at, a lot of advanced things. I stumbled, like I said, as going through the Army's opportunities, you have the options to be a ranger, which is, essentially just an 80-second guy that can run a faster 5 miles. So who gives a shit about that? And then I could go into the 18 series program, but that just, again, like, I feel like they're behind, and they're just making people that don't really necessarily have a mission for the future. Whereas, like, I feel like the Air Force is the only one that's looking very forward and being very proactive about that. So I ended up watching your guys' show. I watched every episode on regular speed, and then I watched every episode again on double speed. So I feel like I have a pretty good grasp I'm not worried about anything.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it sounds like you have plans. So, like, are you looking to go, tier 1, or are you thinking agency after you make it through all of this? Because I know that it's a fight to get you after at that point.
I will assess as soon as I'm in my window, but again, like, these assessments, I feel like are a two-way street. Like, I'm assessing them, so I'm not going to make my decision until I've, been offered, them telling me that they need me at that unit, and then I will decide if that unit deserves to have me there.
Well, maybe you can help clear this up for some of the people out there, because obviously the regulars out there don't know the difference a lot of the times between, the guys out in Virginia Beach versus the guys at Bragg. Can you clear up some of that controversy for us? Like, which one of those units would you think has a better chance of pulling someone like you in?
Well, I mean, you gotta, if you're in Virginia Beach and somebody tells you that they're a SEAL, you go, are you a number or are you a color? Like, you gotta know what means what when you're playing in this game. And, I'm not a fan of the East Coast, and I feel like the SEAL community has a lot of stigma around them right now. Like, they're not in their best of days, so I could go ahead and stay away from that side for a little bit because, at least, I believe CAG has renamed themselves to ACE. Is that correct? Like, am I up to date on that? ACE, Army Compartmentalized. No, maybe I don't know.
I don't know. I was never a member of them.
So yeah, like I feel like they've maintained their reputation, and they've kept quiet about it. They're not out telling stories all the time, and they don't have a bunch of podcasts. And so, like, I think Ace is is quite possibly a place where I think I would like to be.
I'll be honest with you, man. After our brief conversation, my biggest fear is that you're going to get recruited early in the process. If you make it through basic training without getting actually recruited to go immediately to a tier 1 unit. And I love what you say about it's a two-way job interview. And that's how people should really approach not only the Air Force, but really any tier 1 assessment selection is just exactly how you laid it out. You said it perfectly. That's a two-way interview. You know that you're going to make it. The long walk, I'm sure you do that 2 or 3 times a week just to get the legs warm. So it's really a two-way street for, is this mission set correct? And good on you for doing the research. We have a lot of folks that do a bare minimum, maybe 6 months or a year of research, and still don't understand even what the mission sets of those units are. What drew you to the Air Force then? Was it the science-based approach? Was it our way that we can rebrand career fields just on a dime and turn them into something else? Like who knows what career fields could exist in 2, maybe 3 months?
I mean, like I said, what drew me there was the technology aspect. I've been studying a lot of the Ukraine conflict. I actually went over there for a little while and did some medic support. So I took a couple TCCC classes that I had paid for out in California, and then I had to submit my credentials, and when I showed them that I had experience in basic medic skills, I went out there for a couple months and helped at a field hospital, and I feel like the Air Force is going to be the first one to wake up and realize that the personal drone fight is the new wave of war, and I want to be where that is, just because as much as we can say, hey, these training pipelines are the best that they've ever been, and they're putting out the best product that we've ever seen in the force. The days of walking around with a rifle could be down to single digits at this point, because we could be replacing things with drones. And if they do that, I would like to be first in line to be right there and lead one of those units and be like right on the forefront of the technology. Now, going back to what you said about the two-way street, like this is something that most men are too afraid to do in academic situations, and I've learned this again at a young age, where anytime I am in a situation where someone is teaching me, I have a one-to-one conversation with that instructor or teacher, and I let them know that this is a two-way street and you have to earn my attention. So you better be on your A game and know what you're talking about. Otherwise, I'm going to assume that you're just an idiot and I'm not going to listen. So I plan on saying that, I plan on asking for a one-on-one meeting with my drill instructor as soon as I get to basic, because I really do want to have that conversation with him where I'm saying, hey, I'm letting him know that I'm watching you. And I
Yeah.
think that most instructors aren't used to that. They don't think about that. So when you do tell them, it'll always be in the back of his mind every day when he gets in front of our unit. He's gonna make eye contact with me and know that I am on him.
I think he's going to accept that. I put myself in that situation as an instructor. I don't know what I would do if a student came up to me and really said, hey, this is a two-way street. I want this to be a collaborative conversation. I would probably accept that. I would probably really think about that later and, try to internalize it and roll it into my instructional capability. I think it just makes people better as instructors, you know, like iron sharpens iron. I think you can help sharpen those BMT instructors to really focus and really get you what you need.
And you know, if you've never tried this, it, a person's behavior changes a lot if you're taking notes. So if you're taking, and if you let them know, I'm not just taking notes of the information, I'm taking notes on you. They can't help but think about that every time they see you right there with that notepad. And they're worried about what's going down in that book.
Yeah.
So they're going to change how they decide to present the information or their style of approach. And I'm just letting them know, you know, I'm there and I'm critiquing.
That makes a lot of sense. You know, you've been in the development program, and we talked about that briefly. The development program, obviously, it's money well spent. It's definitely changed the way, you know, the output of the development program has just put our candidate success rate through the roof, right? It's just absolutely one of the best programs in the nation. I'm glad we paid the money for it. What's been your experience in the dev program leading up to getting in?
Well, they didn't really help me at all because I prepped myself. So before I even contacted my developer, I had already given myself 3 back-to-back PT tests 3 days in a row and maxed all three out. So before I got there, I was more than, you know, I see the kids that he has to help, especially the younger, the 18-year-olds. They're small and weak and they haven't been outside that much or lifted enough. You know, no one's making them chop wood anymore. And so like I see like the need for the developers is definitely there because all these candidates are very weak. Like I honestly don't think a single one from my debt is gonna even make it out of the candidate course. You know, and hopefully they don't recognize who I am when you guys put this out because they probably have their feelings hurt. But I mean, I think they all know it in the back of their heads because you can tell that they're criers.
Listen, the statistics support your claim. Like we've got an attrition rate that's insane, and I don't necessarily think that that's going to affect you based off of everything that I know about you right now.
Well, let me just tell you right now, like I can do 26 pull-ups, dead hang pull-ups, like, and that's after, you know, maxing out my push-ups on a PT test. So like when I say that this is gonna be a walk in the park, like, and not really a thing on my shoulder, like I'm really serious about that. Like I'm not worried about it at all because what are they going to make me do? More PT? What are we? Oh no, we're in trouble. We're going to run more. Okay, well, I'm ready to run. I'm ready to run 60 miles a day. So if we're anything below 60 miles a day, well then let's go. What are you going to do? You ain't hurting my feelings.
Yeah, can't smoke me, Sergeant. Yeah, you know, and it sounds like you're right. Hey, for the audience out there, you know how we say at any point, even after a PT session, you should be able to go out and crush an IFT and not just meet the minimums, but exceed the minimums. And I love that you have actually taken that to heart. Like you're like, yeah, okay, 26 pull-ups, like after already doing a PT session. And then, oh, you need me to do another IFT? Okay, sure. Like how many more of these things do you need me to do right now before I prove to you like this is going to be easy? So this is where we try and tell people this is at the point that they need to ship and stop getting inside their own head. It's so you're right there, man.
And I've been doing I've been doing a lot of work with a mask that can cut airflow off. So I do a lot of sprint and then take away my ability to breathe. Just because like that is what I expect is the most dangerous tool that the cadre have in the ANS course here is how do you get somebody to panic is take away their ability to breathe. Like, so if I can get comfortable with having that removed, I feel like there's nothing that I'm even remotely stressing about because, you know, people yelling doesn't bother me. I actually think it's kind of fun, but it's not intimidating. like I said, everything's a two-way street with me, and you know, you want to yell, I could yell back too. We'll see how that goes. Like,
Yeah.
I watched, you know, I've watched every movie that I could. You know, G.I. Jane, you got to give that one some credit because it does have a lot of good training sequences in there. What training actually really, you know, is like in that area of the world. I mean, and one thing I get to look forward to is San Antonio, Texas doesn't have an ocean and it's not 35 degrees. So, you know, as long as I'm okay with not being cold, like who cares? Like this is gonna be like we got it made compared to our guys out in Coronado that are going through their stuff. Like
75 degrees and sunny, and you get all the water that you need. I mean, that always is. That's why the West Coast SEAL teams, that's why they get made fun of so much, is because they have such an easy life. Like that's just the thing inside the SEAL teams. The East Coast makes men, and the West Coast makes tanned up sort of men.
And then, so like, about 3 months ago, I signed up for this 4-day airsoft operation. So like that, I got the gear out. I did the bag drag. You know, really tried to put my stuff together and feel out like how it's gonna feel. And you know, I went on that op, and you know, people like to talk a lot of shit about airsofters and things like that, but I mean it's very realistic. It's the closest that any civilian could get to a real FMP style like scenario. So again, like the more that I put myself in these situations voluntarily, the more nothing's going to bother me once I'm in school, because I understand, you know, a lot of people say mindset is 100% key. And if my mindset is, it is my job right now to get beat up, I'm going in knowing that. And every day, if I didn't get beat up enough, it's like, well, where's more? And if they didn't give you more, well, then we had a good day, didn't we?
Yep. Man, I got like kudos to you. You used the FMP. Like, not many people know what an FMP is. Obviously, you've got it, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's part of that studying. You know, I did pick up the joint publication 3-09.3, and I did a little light reading there.
That's my
Like,
Bible, my man.
God,
That's
I
my
just
Bible.
want to be
you are
prepared
impressive,
for
man.
every test. And you know, you can get the PDF. I believe I got the 2008 version before the United States Marine Corps turned, you know, CAS into CRANs.
I
You
can't
know, I've
argue
heard.
with that.
Yeah,
I
that's
can't
a true
argue with
statement.
that.
I've heard.
How do you know all this inside info? This is absolutely astounding. 2008, you were 13 at that point, and you knew the history of how the Marine Corps completely screwed up CAS for the entire JSOC architecture. That's crazy.
Well, Aaron, I told you I've listened to every episode of this show once on regular speed and the second time on double speed. Like, and I'll probably do it a third time on slow. And then at that point, I'm unstoppable because I'll remember everything.
Yeah. Well, I gotta ask, man, because it's killing me. I don't know, how do you stay as humble as you are, surrounded by people that just aren't quite up to your standard, like especially in your dev program, you know?
Well, I mean, I actually just have to refrain myself from speaking to them because I just don't want to. I feel like it's almost a waste of my energy and what I have to offer, because I can sense I have a really good sense of weakness. And that is the first step of losing my respect is within the first minute of me meeting another man, I can generally figure out if he's weak, or you know, if he's a crier. You know, who are the guys that are going to cry on the first day? Like, who's the guys that are crying that first night in basic training? And those are the people that, you know, we're going to put them in the corner. We stay as far away from them as we can, because it's not that I'm worried about their feminine and negative energy bleeding off on me. It's, I don't think they deserve anything that comes off of me. So they just need to be in their own realm.
I mean, does that apply to everybody? Because as the informal leader of the group that you're in, based on your capability, you don't feel like a responsibility to help some of them out. Like obviously you've probably read some of those leadership books and some of those things. Is there any way that you can incorporate some of that to help some of those really young 18-year-olds out to get to
I'm
your
not
level?
going to. I'm not going to help until they earn the help, and the earned comes probably three-quarters of the way through the entire pipeline. Like once we've all, once you've shown me that you can get through the hard stuff, then I'll show you that you deserve a hand. Before that, I don't care because, like the guys in my dev, I look to my left, I look to my right. It's 13 guys. Not a single one of them is going to be there with me the second that I blow through ANS. So why am I wasting my time now knowing that none of these little clown shoes are gonna get through this program?
Yeah, well, absolutely. And then, you have cadre out there that are going to let some of those folks through the program, I think. And we've seen some of the results of that throughout the years. So when you see some of that weak man syndrome, some of the modern day, bleeding hearts in your cadre, how are you going to deal with that?
I mean, if I feel like the cadre is failing us by not properly weeding out weakness, then I think it's up to myself to get in their head and really drive them to thinking that quitting is their idea. And I can pick up that slack. I'm not worried about that. If I need to do that for the team, I'm very, very good. I've read a ton, 2 to 3 psychology books on manipulation, and I think like I am equipped to really like get in their head and get them ready to quit. And hopefully the cadre see that when they see that like we're helping them get out the weak and we're policing our own. That should earn me some respect from those guys.
I mean, we talk about that all the time. There's a certain point when the cadre just can't do their job, or they're unwilling to do their job, and the students need to step in and fix some of those problems. As you get rid of some of these weak people, are there any other techniques besides getting in their heads? Like we get so many questions here about, which boots do I wear and all this other stuff. Like, would you wear the incorrect pair of boots to get them to accidentally do that to like help them on their way out the door?
Well, yeah, I would give bad advice. Like, that is something that, you know, I've considered for my detachment. Like I said, those 13, they're all just weak, and they're not going to make it past probably the candidate course. But yeah, if they ask me, I'll tell them. I'll give them bad advice to just, the more that I could set them up for failure is the more that the spotlight is on them. And then I have the ability to be the gray man in the class to where there's no attention on me because we've now put it all over on the weak and the stupid.
Right. Okay. So as you're going through the pipeline, as you see it, when you finish up some of these workouts, like you said, they're not going to be challenging for you. There's a lot of stuff out there for like workouts that you can do on your own time while they're getting smoked because they're on their way out of the pipeline. When you have your downtime, what are the workouts that you're going to get into? I know like sledgehammers are really popular for most of the people that are successful. Is there anything in particular that you're going to do on your downtime just to build yourself up better because you've already exceeded the standards of the pipeline?
Well, so I put in my garage, I recreated like what the basic training setup is. So I got one of those beds in the locker and everything. So I've been tailoring a lot of my workouts just in that space by like lifting the bed and using the bed for dip presses and like because I just feel like if I get myself in that space and understand where I'm going to be, I need to learn how to live my life there. And if I can continue to be, prepping myself to be 10 steps ahead of everybody else in this course, well then that's a comfortable spot for me. So I that's why I went out and I kind of just recreated what I feel like my personal space will look like once I'm there for the first like 4 or 5 months, and then I'm training myself to live my life in that space.
That makes total sense. If the folks out there listening right now, if you guys have not made your own basic training setup and you guys aren't really sleeping, if you can find some friends or maybe somebody from the community and sleep in an open bay with other people, if you guys aren't doing this, you're just absolutely wrong. That's one of the best training tools I've ever heard of. Listen, man.
And like I have 3 rucks. So I have what I call a Monday ruck. That's at 45 pounds weight plus, it has two quarts of water that I could put on there. And then I have a 55 pound. That's kind of like my Wednesday. And then my Friday is the 110 pound. And I do a 4-mile 110 just to like really start building up the calluses in my shoulders, so like I get used to having those straps really just weighing on you. Because again, like I want when I get to like the Hell Week or wherever it is now for SUT, like I want to be the one that says I'll carry the M60 or the M240 and give me the ammo because I'm ready for this. Like and then that way I'm showing the cadre again that I'm right here. Like ignore these idiots. Like I'm here now. I'll take the big gun. I'll take the ammo. You guys don't worry about it. Tell me which way we're going and let's head out.
I could just see it in my head as everybody else is sitting there afraid of the weight and afraid of the big gun and afraid of the training event. As you stand up in front of all of your peers and you say, "Hey, cadre, I'm here. Send me." I just can't imagine. I got chills just now as an instructor.
And this is something that can be very valuable for your listeners too, because this is something that people don't think about and they don't realize that they need to do. When you're going to volunteer something in your team and you're going to take on extra or a bigger load, you need to position yourself near the cadre when you bring that up, because they need to hear every time that you're saving the team. That way, that repetition gets in their head, and when they're over at the leaderboards and they're looking at your picture and your name, they start associating that name with that one is always saving this team. And then it creates a conversation in the cadre room, and they're now all talking like, you know what, you're right. Every time that we're around, I see him stepping up and pulling them back together. And like that's just gonna push you right into that sweet spot of, hey, we don't want to lose this guy. So let's, you're halfway through A&S, and now start noticing the cadre are almost like scooting you along, like they're there to help, like they want you to make it now because they've been conditioned to know that you're the one that's leading and running that team.
It makes a lot of sense. The question on everybody's mind, we've talked about it. You've already got some medical training in your background and actual real world experience by your time in Ukraine. And I just want to say thank you so much. I've had that Ukraine flag in my bio for months, maybe years now. And I just think that, they're a valiant people and they deserve to fight. So thank you for supporting that operation. I think we're going to win. I think if we just give them a couple more $1 billion, they've got it. I think that they can do it. We just got to give them a little bit more. So thank you for your support to that initiative. But you talked about the upcoming drones. We've talked a little bit about how you do have knowledge about JTAC. How hard was it for you to decide on a job? And have you even figured out what you want to do yet?
No, I haven't decided on a job because I like generally all of them. I like the characteristics that all display, and I kind of again, I would like to see where the cadre think I fit, because that will take like I will like that advice, because again, like obviously there will be some instructors I'm sure I have no respect for because I'll be able to sense weakness, but I'm positive there will be some good instructors there, and when I respect their opinion, so if they tell me, hey, we want you as a PJ, especially because of your medical background that you already have, like stacking, in your past, like let's use that. Like, let's use that to our advantage because now you become an asset to us.
I just imagine the career fields are going to be fighting over you. We've already gotten a couple of text messages from some of the career field managers. It's like the NFL draft with you, man. Like you keep popping up on group chats. Like they're like, hey, you got to keep an eye out for this guy. And the combat control functional manager sort of got into it with the PJ manager, and they both want you. Do you think there's going to be a literal fight of the instructors to get you into the career field?
If my plan goes accordingly, like I said, I'm very conscious. I'm gonna take a lot of control of that team during ANS, and I'm gonna make sure that they hear it. Like I really like it's all about kind of branding yourself. And when you're in a course that's designed to select you, you need to be branding yourself to those cadre. You need to be branding yourself on brand, meaning, hey, I'm the top dog here, and I have to constantly save this team from themselves. Therefore, you are going to want me in the best spot that you can put me, because that's what I'm going to do everywhere I go. When I get to my first unit, whether that be a PJ team or a special tactics team, like I'm going to go in and I'm going to shake things up, and we're going to change things. And I'm going to look and assess at how they are currently running that team. And then in about a month after my assessment is done, then we're all going to sit down and have a conversation on how we can improve running that team.
Yeah. Right. I imagine as a brand new guy at a unit too, that's going to be really well received. Those dudes take input really well, especially from the new guys, this new generation of folks. Like you do really represent this younger generation of highly informed, highly capable, very smart.
I think that they're not used to the new guys pulling their weight. And I think that's what I want to change that. I want to show them that, hey, yeah, I'm brand new, but I know a lot. I know a lot. I waited to come in. I'm older. I've read all the books. I've taken in all of the information, and now it's time we all collectively come together and figure out how are we going to make this better, better than it was yesterday.
I know you're tracking the new pipeline changes because you have your fingers on the pulse of everything that's going on. We are excited about it here. We think that it's the best move ever. Do you have any worries about the new pipeline changes that are coming up?
No, I mean, nothing's worrying me. Like I said, I know cadre's, biggest secret weapon is taking your ability to breathe. And I have been pushing myself in all arenas of that to the point where I'm getting very comfortable being underwater or just being out of water and not breathing. And so therefore I feel almost invincible. Like I'm not scared of the cadre at all. Because like I said, people they get in their own heads and they start snowballing, and they start getting so scared as if these guys can beat you up or they're going to hurt you or something like that. No, if you go in with the mindset of, okay, the worst thing that can happen is they make us run more, well then who cares? Why would you even get spun up when they're getting all yelly at you and everything like that? It's like, oh no, what are we going to do, more push-ups? Who cares?
Yeah.
So we've talked about PJ, we talked about combat control, we talked about SR, but there's a fourth one out there that I'm wondering if you have considered. So I know you're already familiar with it, Tactical Air Control Party, TacP, and you're already familiar with CAS, Close Air Support. Have you considered TacP at all?
Like I said, I think that would be a conversation when I'm in ANS. If I really start taking a liking more to the CAS side, I would want to sit down and renegotiate my contract at that point and say that I'm going I want to go directly to an ST unit. I don't deserve to be at a conventional unit. There's no way that you're going to park me at Fort Bliss or Fort Hood and say, okay, well, you're gonna be a JTAC for these guys. No, I don't want nothing to do with armor or cavalry. Like I deserve to be in special operations. I'm going into special operations. So if they are heavily leading me to TacP, I'm going to let them know that that will be a contract negotiation, and that I would like my attorney present for that, to
Mm,
make sure that what I'm signing is exactly what I deserve and what I want.
right.
Yeah. Well, the question I guess I would ask then is, why do you think the Air Force puts TACP into the Air Force Special Operations Selection Program, right? Air Force Special Warfare Assessment Selection, when the vast majority, 99% of them, are conventional? Do you feel like that's kind of like a shell game that they're trying to pull there?
No, I mean, I think it could be a future plans decision where they're again like I read the book Danger Close by Steve Call, and if you look at what happened in 2001 and then the invasion of Iraq, there just wasn't enough. Everybody was deploying, and so you needed JTACs everywhere, and you needed a bunch of guys to fall in on soft. Well, if everybody's trained at that level, well, then what do you have to worry about? You're just picking names out of a hat and saying, you go here, you go there. And I feel like from all the studying I've done, close air support doesn't change whether you're with, a large 30-man infantry platoon or a 12-man ODA. So what what's the point? You also, I think, do have to show up being better trained and more skillful than your army counterpart, because you are the help, and you have to prove to them that you know what you're doing.
Yeah. Well, throughout our conversation, I noticed that you value feedback, whether it's you giving instructors and your fellow candidates feedback, or, being on the receiving end, as little as that may be. Which is great because Air Force Special Warfare is big on providing that feedback. And there's actually an institution dedicated to it, um, called the Weapons School. And I got it, guys. I'm always bringing up the Web School. Hey, whatever.
Had
But
to figure out a way to say he's a patch. He's a patch,
I
guys.
know. So I know you're already familiar with that. Could you ever see an avenue where you attend weapons school? And
Oh, if I'm a JTAC, I have to. There's no way that I, you know, go through my career and not get the best. Like, I see that as like getting your doctorate. And so if my job is joint fires, I better be getting my doctorate. Or I'm just being lazy and I'm being a piece of shit. I'm failing my unit and my team by not putting myself, on those train tracks, saying, hit me.
yeah,
This is it. Like,
Is there a
I,
possibility that you could hit that really as like your second school? Like, I don't know if you've made the decision between going to SOTAC or JTAC QC, or how it is that you're going to get that initial JTAC. I'm sure you're going to speed right through it. I bet you could probably just test out. But do you think you should go to the weapons school essentially right away, like as a senior airman, just get to the weapons school immediately just to get it out of the way?
no, because from what I've listened to and read on that, you need you need experience to lean on. And if I think going there too prematurely, then my feedback isn't valuable to anybody there, because they just know, hey, well, you've never done this. So I rather, get a couple deployments under my belt to, maybe somewhere cool that not a lot of people know that we're doing things in, and then once I go to weapons school, I want to have, combat accolades that they could look on my record and go, oh, okay, this is who we're dealing with now.
yeah. Well, you may end up calling in some nine lines on some boats, some drug cartel and domestic terrorist boats. But yeah. Um, so going back to the feedback thing, we recently had 72 IFT failures on day one of training. Like, what would you say to those guys, and how can the next cohort of people avoid failing on day one?
Well, I mean, first I would look at the developers, because if you got that many IFT failures on day one, what are you developing? Like, there seems to be one of these programs failing very, very badly. But I mean, also too, that's on the candidate's shoulders. Like if you're not able to rock that thing 3 times in a row in a week, well then why are you going? Like what? The biggest thing I hate hearing from my fellow candidates is, their attitude of like, oh, I'll do it. Oh, I'll make it. Like, no, you won't. You don't give a shit. Like you're not like these guys aren't even doing push-ups, while in their off time and things like that. So it's like I just feel like their mindset is all dog shit. Like because they're not in the mindset of, hey, I'm truly going out to try and achieve to wear a beret. Well, that should consume your entire life. If that's what you're doing and you want to truly pass a selection, well then you don't have anything else in your life. That selection is your life. That PT test should be your life. Like, so going out and just failing the initial test, like you're just a clown.
Yeah, well, we've talked about that some, like about like setting your life up for success before you ship and before you join. Like Jared had to break up with his little troll like girlfriend before he joined. How did you shape your life so that you had the time and the space to properly prepare the way that these other people are not?
Well, I mean, since I turned 19, like I live my life prepared to be able to take a single bag and exfil. And so that's just something, Mike Glover taught me a number of years ago at a course that I took up in Utah, about being prepared. So like at any given time, if I'm near my vehicle or if I'm in my house, my apartment, I can bug out in under 1 minute and 30 seconds. And I have everything I need. I have passport, I have alternate identification, I've got cash from 5 different countries. Like I'm ready for any sort of call. And like that's just again, it's the way I live.
Right. There's like the tactical mindset, but also like the Spartan mindset, right? Like, do you sleep? I'm just assuming you don't sleep on like a comfortable mattress. You don't live like there's so many soft people out there these days. Like, what should they be doing in order to, get themselves in that right mindset the way that you have, with
Well,
just
I'm
all
sleeping in the
facets?
garage right now
Okay.
on my setup. Like, so I just have the same, steel single bed with the mattress that's in basic training and the wool blankets. Like, I got it at a Navy surplus store. It was only like $150. Like, and that came with the locker too. And so, uh, like I said, I've just been putting myself in the space that I'm about to go live in. And now that I've been living in it for the last few months, this isn't going to be some weird culture shock or even an afterthought in my head because I'm just used to it. So I feel like even just doing that, like getting on that bed the first night in basic training and being used to that blanket, that mattress, and those sheets because I've been sleeping in it for 3.5 months, I'm going to sleep just fine. Whereas everybody else on that first day of basic training has this new scary place in their mind, and oh my God, we're going to get woken up and blah, 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 blah. No, I'm going to sleep like a baby, and then what is he going to do? Make us run more? Who
Yeah.
cares?
You're just going home. You know what I mean?
Yep.
To where you belong, obviously. We do get a lot of questions about parents. How did your parents either set you up for success, or how do they feel about you doing all of these things? Because obviously you're going to get yourself into a lot of really dangerous situations in your career.
I don't respect my parents. They're both incredibly weak. My mom's very weak. Her mental stability can crumble if dinner is not perfect. And my father works at a bank. It's quite possibly the most embarrassing thing. Like, I don't think he could even start a chainsaw, like if his life depended on it. So like, I was definitely raised in the wrong household. I probably will unhealthily attach myself to some of the cadre because I've needed a strong male father figure in my life that I actually respect. Like, I want somebody that can kill me. Like, and knowing that I can kill my father with ease, like, and he would probably just pout and like wouldn't even put up a fight. Like, that's just, it disgusts me. Like, I need like real men that I respect.
That's really tough. I hope you find those in one of the other 3 career fields. SR doesn't have any of them. Today on the internet, I don't know how plugged into the social media space you are, but there's a bunch of influencers out there, some of which have been prominent recently. When you look to see these lessons and some of these military influencers that really get it right, that really help you by, I don't, maybe posting a picture of a watch when they wake up in the morning, or just doing, funny autistic content, like Mandatory Fun Day. When you see these other military influencers out there, who have you really connected with recently that's helped your journey?
You know, I don't really pay attention to the comedy ones because I think that's goofy. I think it's
Mm-hmm.
silly. Mandatory Fun looks like he's out of shape. Like, he kind of just looks like a pack of popped biscuits. So like, why do I give a shit what that guy has to say? He has a stupid voice too. So like, I can't stand that dumb voice. But like, I'm more like, again, like I think this goes back to, I am so much more advanced than regular candidates because I actually do the digging. Like, I'm not going on David Goggins' fucking Instagram page going, oh, I gotta be tough and run more. Like, shut up. Like, I follow guys like Andrew Arabito. Like, that's a real man.
Right.
Like, that's a dude, like, you can't shake a stick and see that guy with, like, the hottest woman on the planet. And like, that dude has slayed some bodies. Like, and he's got great hair. So, like, I look at people that are kind of like not really in the spotlight, and I mean, and Andrew makes amazing knives. I own like 12 of his knives. Like, every time he has some one-off or custom, I make sure I buy one of those. It's on half-face blades, and him and Eddie Gallagher, because I respect Eddie Gallagher. To me, Eddie Gallagher is like the Robin Olds of the SEAL teams. Like, he's like, yeah, you got rules, but I don't give a fuck. Watch what I do.
Yeah. You need those disruptors, and you're one of those disruptors. Like, I think you really are going to shake things up in such a good way. I've got a kind of a wacky question here, but looking at your background, you have all of these skills. You're not just a JTAC. You're not just great at medicine. You're not just far ahead of the game on drones and drone warfare. And it's obvious that you've studied military history. There's always this talk inside of Air Force Special Warfare. Let's go to one beret. Let's get everybody under the same umbrella. For somebody like you, that makes so much sense. Like, what's to stop you if you're in an STS? What's to stop you from being the PJ for the day, but the very next day you come out, you pick the radios up, and you're the JTAC, and you come back the next day and you're the sniper, and then you come back the next day and you're leading the drone charge? Like, do you think that there's room for you to grow in a situation like that, where you just get to identify as whatever career field you think is fit on any given day?
No, that doesn't appetize me because I like to be the best. And I mean, I think the SEALs kind of proven this the last 30 years that you can't be the best at everything. Like, so you try to be a Swiss Army knife of special operations, you end up just being chewed bubblegum, because you just know a little bit about a lot. I like to know a lot of it about a little. And so I very much so appreciate the structure that Air Force Special Warfare has, because once I lock into what my profession is going to be, I want to be the PhD holder of that profession. So, and it gives you a scope that's actually attainable for you to become an expert at. You're trying to do 4 jobs at once. You're never going to be good at any of those.
Well, as a PJ, that kind of hurts my feelings, because I heard a lot about what you said about what our whole entire career field is, but I guess that's something I'll have to figure out. But I get it. Thank you for that feedback.
That's what it's about, getting feedback. So,
It is.
based off of everything that you've kind of been putting yourself through, right, and the mentorship that you've been giving your fellow dev candidates and everything like that, like, we're not that large of an audience, right? Like, we accept that it's mainly family and friends that listen and watch. But what advice would you give to people that want follow in the same path that you have gone and come into Air Force Special Warfare?
It's very simple. Mean it. Like, and when I say mean it, like, you are applying for this job that requires a selection. If it's not consuming your entire life, well, then you don't want it. So don't talk about wanting it, because you're full of shit. Like, if it's just I'll get one run in this week to make sure, I'm not horrible when I get to basic training. No, that's not what this requires. Like, getting one run in a week, like, this requires your full attention and your full effort, and nothing else can be in it. Get rid of the women, get rid of your relationships, get rid of your kids. Like, this is it. Like put them up for adoption. Maybe make sure that you could have their address, if you want to see them later down the road. But, like, you need to be doing this as with zero distractions, and that's, mean it.
You definitely got to become obsessed. So, I almost said your name. Glad I didn't. Dude, really, really appreciate your time, taking the time to give us feedback, and then also provide some insight into the way that you're preparing for the Air Force Special Warfare pipeline. We really look forward to following your path and keeping tabs on you and see how things going. And I know, because we hear from the cadre on a consistent basis how candidates are doing. Like, we ask about specific candidates, and you're definitely one of the ones that I don't think we're going to have to ask about. I think we're going to be told about you.
I think so.
Well,
Right.
that would mean that I've fulfilled my job correctly.
Awesome. All right, everybody. Again, appreciate you joining us. Everybody, don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Visit us over on onesready.com. Get yourself a piece of merch, and we are out.
See
Later.
ya. Thank you.